Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the DC Collectibles Batman The Dark Knight Returns 4-figure box set. So the classic story from Frank Miller has recently been turned into an animated short film from DC. And to celebrate the release of this movie, DC Collectibles has released this brand new box set featuring 4 action figures based on characters from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Now, these figures have all been released by DC Direct in the past. The set includes Batman, Superman, Robin, and the Joker. All 4 of these figures saw release back in 2004, but were packaged individually. So this box set brings all 4 figures together in one set, all with brand new paint jobs. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. You can see that the 4 figures come in a very large window box packaging. The box has got that white and dark blue color scheme that is very familiar of the comic book that the characters come from. And as you can see, in the background behind all of the characters is a cityscape with that lightning bolt that looks just like the comic's cover. The back of the packaging shows off all 4 figures with their display bases all connected together, as well as gives us some information on the Dark Knight Returns story. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at each of these figures outside of the packaging. And we'll start by taking a look at the design and the sculpt of each of these characters. We'll go ahead and kick things off with the man that it's all based around, Batman. Now, of course, this is a much older Batman. He's 55 years old in the Dark Knight Returns storyline. And Frank Miller has a very distinct style in the way that he drew these characters. And one of the things that this box set does terrifically is really captures Frank Miller's art style in 3D form. Batman's got a great design going on here. You can see he's very beefy and a little stocky, but he's very, very beefy. He's got that very squared off chin there, and you can see he is a little older looking. You can see some wrinkles in his cheeks and everything there, and he's got that great grimace on his face. And there's lots of great sculpted details in the uniform as well. There's lots of wrinkles and folds in the costume, almost as if it's a little baggy on him. Maybe you know the older Bruce Wayne as Batman's not quite as big as the fully fit younger Batman was, and that reflects in the way that the costume is sculpted on the figure here. Lots of great detail in the pouches that are on the utility belt there, and he features a great paint job, which is a very light gray with some nice shading there in the main suit, with some nice dark blue seen in the gloves, the boots, and of course the cape and cowl. Next up, let's take a look at Robin, the Carrie Kelly version. This, of course, is a younger female version, a 13-year-old female who took up the role of Robin in the Dark Knight Returns storyline. She is wearing the classic red and green and yellow Robin costume there, and she's got very bright colors going on, but a great design. And again, great job of capturing the look of the character right out of the comics with that really wild hair sculpt going on there. Crazy hairstyle. One of the things that she does feature is removable glasses. So looking at her face there, you can see she's got a pretty decent paint job going on in the face. She's got some real wicked bags under her eyes, almost as if she's real tired or something going on there. And then she's got these real thick rim black glasses that can just fit right on her head. Now there's no pegs or anything like that that holds them on. You actually do just have to kind of clip it over the ears. And it will take just a little bit of work to get them on, but once you get it clipped on, they do a pretty good job of staying in place and does a great job of representing the character from the comics. Now, this Robin here is one of the few characters that actually comes with an accessory, as she's got a little slingshot that can be put in her right hand. Now, one of the cool things about this is there's a real string on there, and the left hand actually has the finger sculpted where you can have it holding onto that little string as if she's pulling the slingshot back. Next up, let's take a look at the arch enemy of Batman, the Joker. Now, Joker's got a very cool design going on. It's a really neat design for the character, one that I really like out of the Dark Knight Returns comic there. He's got this very gangster look to him. He's got the very broad shoulders. You can see he's wearing a pinstripe jacket. He's got a light purple shirt on underneath with a black tie, black straight dress pants. And one of the great things I really like about this is looking at the face sculpt on this figure, because just like Batman, you can see that there is some age in his face. He's got some wrinkles going on there. It definitely looks like white makeup on his face, the way the shading and everything works. And he's kind of got this really psychotic look going on with his face. Like he's calm, but there's definitely something going on behind those eyes. And then, of course, he's got his famous green hair sitting on top of his head. It's real bright, stands out very nicely. Now, Joker also includes 2 accessories, both of which are handguns. He's got 2 trigger fingers sculpted on his hands, so the handguns fit nicely in both of his hands there. And then the last figure in the set is Superman, the version of Superman that is now working for the government, basically a government pawn. Again, does a great job of capturing the Frank Miller style there. You can see the way the curly Q in his hair is kind of sticking way off his head. It's very exaggerated. He's got a very stern look on his face. It's another great face sculpt. Does a great job, again, of capturing that likeness from the book. One of the things to note about this Superman here is that normally, Superman's got very bright blues and reds, and yellows in his costume, and they're very muted on this figure. You can see they kind of got this very dark and gritty look to it, especially seen in the yellow there. It's just got this real dark tone to it, but it's a very nice paint job, very crisp and clean, and again, does a great job of capturing the likeness of the character. Now let's take a look at all of the articulation on these guys. This is one department that these figures really are lacking. So we'll go and start back with Batman here. You can see the head is able just to kind of turn left and right, just kind of rocks left and right there. The arms do have ball-like joints, but they don't really go outwards very much. They mostly just move forwards and backwards. He's got the standard elbow joint there. Nothing in the wrists, nothing in the waist. The legs basically just move back and forth at the hips there, and then he's got the standard knee joints, but they don't really bend all that much. So he's kind of stuck in a pose there. You can see with the feet, they don't move. There's only really one way you can pose him. Taking a look at Superman, he's basically exactly the same. Head just turns left and right at the neck there. Arms basically just move forwards and backwards. Standard elbow joints. Nothing in the wrists, nothing in the waist. Legs move forwards and backwards. Knees move forwards and backwards. Nothing in the feet. Robin has the same type of articulation. Head moves left and right. Arms move up and down. You can swivel the wrists at the gloves on Robin there. She's got nothing in her waist. The legs are just able to move forwards and backwards. Nothing in the knees, nothing in the feet. And then lastly, the Joker here, who is the least articulated of them all. His head is able just to turn left and right. You can move his arms at the shoulders, but they don't look good when they're moved because the way his suit is laying on him, that's really the only way he's meant to be posed. And then he has no other articulation underneath that. The waist kind of swivels, but it's pretty locked, and the legs are completely static. So all 4 of these figures are basically statues. You're not going to get a lot of articulation out of them. You definitely cannot pose them because the way that their feet are positioned, there's only one way you can stand them. Even with Batman there, you can kind of move his arms a little bit, and he does have that one Batarang accessory with a little rope, but it just the accessory just sits in his left hand there, and you can really only kind of pose him holding it upwards because he doesn't get a good enough grip on it. It would just fall out of his hand otherwise, and that's really the only pose you're going to get out of these guys. Now, thankfully, each of the figures does include their own figure stand, and it's very much needed for these figures because they don't really stand very well on their own since their feet are sculpted the way they are. So they each come with this little piece of a cracked sidewalk, and they've all got one peg hole on them so you can stand each of the figures on the one peg hole. Now, all of these bases do include these little latches that you can hook to the bottom of all of the sidewalk pieces. That way you can hook them all together and make one continuous curb, like a sidewalk curb on a street, and you can have all 4 figures standing alongside each other. One last piece that comes with the set that was also originally packaged with the Robin figure when these were single figures is the street lantern. It comes in 2 pieces. It just assembles together by popping the top on there. It's mostly just a green paint job with a little bit of details on there. The little light bulb at the top has glow-in-the-dark paint, so that will glow in the dark when you flip the lights off. But this is very lightweight. It's a hollow plastic, but does work to kind of display next to the figures if you're going to set them up in that street scene. That way there's a little more of decoration going on to kind of create a diorama with all 4 figures. So there you go, guys. There's a look at the new DC Collectibles Dark Knight Returns Batman figure set. Now, like I said, these are just repaints of previously released figures from DC Direct that came out back in 2004. However, those were always highly sought after. I've seen some of these figures individually go for more expensive prices. Robin, I think, was the one that was always the cheapest, but I've seen characters like Batman and Joker go a little bit higher than that. So if you've ever wanted to pick these up before and you don't mind the fact that they are different paint jobs and you're not really looking for a lot of articulation, if you're cool with these just being static pieces, then I would definitely recommend tracking this set down and picking it up, especially if you're a fan of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns storyline. Like I said, the best thing about these is the sculpt. They do a great job of capturing the distinct looks of all of these characters right from that comic. So if you're a fan of those looks, then these figures are definitely for you. The DC Collectibles Dark Knight Returns box set is already showing up at your local comic shops and at online retailers. So, happy hunting, and until next time.